Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening, and we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if there is no objection, I'll preside over the meeting until officers are nominated. Does that work? Okay. And I think our first order of business is to turn the center over to Doug so that you can do swearing in of Yvonne. Let's get a clerk treasurer.
Please repeat after me. I, Yvonne Jonas,
I, Yvonne Jones,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of Indiana
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and honestly
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and honestly
discharge the duties of the office
I will discharge the duties of the office
of the New Palestine Clerk Treasurer
of the New Palestine Clerk Treasurer
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, you're sworn in.
Sign it right now or sign it
Oh, you can sign it afterwards. I'll be here.
over? Okay.
Did you get the certified
Well, I will swear it up, and we'll do them all at the same time. Say your own name, not somebody else's.
You give me, I'll do you. Okay.
I state your name.
I, Bill Niemeyer,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully execute
and I will faithfully execute
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
all of my duties
all of my duties
as a member of the Town of New Palestine Town Council
as a member of the Town Council
according to law
according to law
and the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll have you sign all this.
Yvonne, would you do us the pleasure of a roll call?
Sure. Chad Melinda.
Here.
Terry Reed.
Here.
Bill Niemeyer.
Here.
Ryan Hartley.
Here.
And Ethan Maycott.
Here.
So should we stay according to the agenda, or should we go a little bit out of order? Doug, do you have any recommendations?
It's the preference of the council. So you can take the reorganization and turn over the reins to whoever's nominated as president, or you can work your way through and do that at new business time.
Why don't we go out of order and do new business first, and that way we can finish the meeting in whatever order that means. So at this time, as a council, we need to nominate 3 different offices: president, vice president, and secretary.
Correct. So we'll start with president. We'll accept nominations from the council. There doesn't need to be a second. Of course, if you want to second to show approval, or you can second it, but you can nominate without a second. If there's more than one person nominated, we'll do a roll call vote, and you'll vote for who you want to nominate as president. If there's only one person nominated, we will accept a motion to acclimate that person to the role.
So do we need to, sorry, go ahead.
So at this time, if there's any nominations for position of president of the council, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'll make a nomination to appoint Terry Reed as the president of town council. I think the election itself shown that the the town is very behind her and everything she does, so that is my nomination.
I'd second that.
Are there any further nominations?
Who was the second?
I'd like to nominate Bill Niemeyer as vice president.
I second that.
I'm sorry, we'll stick with president at this time, and we'll work our way through the offices. So any other further nominations for president? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the nominations?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of closing the nominations, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's easy.
At this time, we'll open the floor for nominations for vice president of the town council.
I nominate Chad Melinder.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Bill.
I'd second the nomination for Bill.
Any other nominations at this time? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. Because there's two, I don't know if you care to weigh in or speak before at this point, because there's two, we'll do a roll call vote. Yvonne will call the roll and each member will vote for who they want to be vice president. I think it's probably appropriate if either of you want to speak.
I would offer only that, can I speak?
Absolutely.
Okay. I would only offer that I'm excited to serve with everyone on this team, and I think anybody could be serving in any of those seats. I think Bill has some experience in that vice presidential role that could probably help and guide us in this first year, and that's why I seconded his nomination.
Thank you.
I chose Chad because I feel like Chad said, the public has elected us and his numbers were very high as well. The public spoke out and said they showed that they wanted a change, so that's why I nominate Chad.
Anybody else want to comment at this time? Yvonne, can you please call the roll?
Chad Melinder,
I'll vote for Bill Niemeyer.
Terry Reed,
Chad Melinder.
I'm sorry,
Chad Melinder.
Bill Niemeyer.
Boy, that's tough. I'll vote for myself in case nobody else does.
Brian Hartley,
I'll vote for Bill Niemeyer.
and Ethan Abel.
Bill Niemeyer.
Can I change my vote? Because I too would gladly support Chad.
Thanks for that, I appreciate that.
And I'll make a motion to appoint Chad Molinder for the secretary of the town council.
I'll second that.
I
Any-
agree with that as well.
Any further nominations? Do a motion to close nominations and acclimate Chad to the position of Secretary of Council.
So moved.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Vote?
All in
those
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now we will open nominations for the role of treasurer of the council.
Oh, I didn't know we
Oh, I'm sorry.
No?
We got a
No.
clerk. Not it.
Not it.
I tore up some places already, though.
That's okay, I've got my coat behind me. So after the meeting, I promise I'm not gonna grab it. Just like that. Michelle raised me better than that.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, Bill.
All right, got that all situated. New year, new council. Okay. Next on the agenda are claims.
we need an approval of the APVs number 2598 through 25985. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion. So
So
now
let's
it's
have a
been
vote.
moved in second, so it's
Oh,
open for
for
discussion.
discussion.
And I just want to make sure, because I know, Chad, you had some questions. Terry, you had some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to get answers to your questions sufficiently or information?
I think so.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I just,
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, the town hall ladies helped us a lot. Okay, so any discussions? Do I hear a vote? All that in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. So the ayes have it by 5, and the motion is carried to approve the APVs number 25948 through 25985. Next is payroll, 12/22/2023, deduction checks, APVs.
It's
number-
all part of that. Those,
Oh, is it?
that, the one APV
Oh,
line
okay.
on the top
Okay,
describes
I was
all
trying to
four of
think
those
that, but
below.
maybe I need my
Yep.
glasses on. Okay, so that's all been done. Now, on the agenda, we don't have public comments listed on here, but we're supposed to have comments from the public, 3-minute time limit per person for items on the agenda only.
We put it on the back, the last, number 7, public comments. But took off the one for the agenda only because we
Are you
thought.
trying to trick the new?
No! You passed!
Is that because we don't want any opinion on organization? Is that
Well,
what
we
it is?
didn't think you'd be organized yet, so we thought no comments until you got organized.
Can we go back? I have more questions.
All right, so, next, adoption adoption of minutes. Do I hear an approval on the adoption of the town council minutes from December 20th, 2023?
I will make the motion that we approve the minutes from the December 20th meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Okay,
And I'll point out for the record, because there was previously some confusion and a thought that if you were not present during that meeting, you couldn't vote to approve the minutes. And that actually is not the case. If you've read the minutes and you agree with what's in the minutes, you have the ability to vote on the minutes. Because otherwise,
We were all present though, so I think we're good.
yeah,
and
yeah.
even if you weren't present, if you read the minutes and you agree with them, you are allowed to vote.
I do have a question of clarity though. In 6.2, there is the second one. Does this second need were there any ayes for that? Was that left off? Did it not need an aye? When Bill Niemeyer moved, seconded by Brandy, motion to suspend the rules, does that not require ayes, yeses? And was that left off on accident or did not get recorded?
Is that the bypass of the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, and that does require a vote, and there would have been a vote.
I think the question was it seconded? And so I don't recall whether or not it was seconded. Under Robert's Rules of Order, you're supposed to have seconds to any
The
motion.
question wasn't whether it was seconded. The question, there's no, I mean, every box I'm reading here has the result, the mover, the seconder, the ayes, and the absent.
I would say that it was just a clerical error.
Okay.
In the computers. And yes, it was voted on.
Okay. I just
And
wanted to make sure that we're not
everybody
leaving any hanging chads for,
No.
we'll save hanging chad for later. That was for you.
Thank you.
About half of the table is offended.
That's fine.
Are there any other discussions regarding this? Okay. All in favor to adopt the town council meetings from December 2023? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay. Ayes have it by 5.
The motion is carried to adopt the town council minutes from December 20, 2023. Any old business? No? New business, we've taken care of that.
Actually, while we're on new business, I'd like to have a discussion, because I think it's something that's probably near and dear to all of the council members. Previously, there was a deadline for getting the agenda, getting the backup materials, and I know that, Yvonne and Jenny have said that we need to be careful because some things do come in at the last minute. And again, I'd like to have a discussion on that so that we could maybe give some guidance, because I also believe, what Chad said is 100% accurate, that if you get items to prepare for the meeting the day before or even 2 days before, just depending on your particular schedule at that time, that might not be sufficient to be accurately or adequately prepared. And I guess to me, the most concerning scenario would be you have a question, but there's not the ability to either talk to Yvonne, talk to whoever to get that information. And I know that it would probably impose a little bit of hardship or inconvenience, especially in the beginning, because nobody likes any change. I think that we should try to come up with a deadline that whatever is workable and reasonable. And if you miss that deadline, if there's absolutely an emergency, you can always make an exception, but it's not fair to council members to expect that you can be prepared to come to a meeting and vote on things if you haven't had time to look at them. So I just wanted to throw that out and see if anybody has any thoughts on that, other than me, because I think we need some kind of a date.
Did you have a date and time?
Well, I know once before, we had a week before, and that probably was not practical. Maybe the Friday before, end of business on Friday, and that way you'd have the weekend and Monday and Tuesday. And most importantly, if there was ever something that you needed to come into town hall and meet with somebody, at least you'd have the opportunity, because there were several times at prior meetings where somebody would be opposed to something because they didn't understand it or didn't have time to ask questions. Or then we get to a public meeting, and instead of there being a friendly question, it might have been adversarial, and we sure don't need that.
Well, Chad had brought that up in his email.
Absolutely.
And he suggested the Friday before, and I think that's excellent, because we do want to address everything appropriately and have time to research and do our due diligence to the town.
And Yvonne, is that fair?
It'll be really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll always have stuff that comes in at the last minute, because that's the nature of the beast.
And
We can try it, there's no reason not to try it. I don't work here in town hall on Friday, so that is all on Jenny then, to get that out to you on Friday. And there'll be bills that won't make it on to the docket to get paid.
is there any way we can help you change deadlines for invoices to be in so that you can get those?
I don't think so, because I don't think that you can tell other companies how to run their business and when to send invoices in.
You can tell them when you're going to cut a paycheck
And,
as a business.
and that'll be on the first and the third Thursday of the month, always.
Well, and so,
Unless it is something that has a late fee, or that would create extra costs to the town, or that's a utility bill or a regular bill that you guys already have approved a contract for. We have an ordinance in place that gives me a little leeway
Right.
to pay certain things, like for instance, a credit card bill. You don't want to wait until the last minute to pay that thing, because and then send it out in the mail and hope and pray it gets there on time, you'll forever be paying late fees and interest. So we don't want to do that, and there's a mechanism in place for some of that.
And I would
But
think
not for everyone.
it would be a learning curve, but I think it would be beneficial to everybody. And, you know, there
Well-
might be a vendor or two that miss it and say, okay, we'll pay you in 2 weeks.
It may be beneficial, but not for everybody. It'll be hard for us to make it happen and get you the information. For instance, when we worked with the bond council, on the last round that we did a bond, I mean, I didn't get that information until after hours on the day, sometimes 2 days before, but most of the time the day before the council meeting. I mean, if there are deadlines like that have to be followed pretty quickly, and I don't get the information, I can't pass it on to you. I can't give it to you on Friday, but I also cannot necessarily force your, attorney that you're using or another vendor to get it to me at a particular date.
Then
So-
Doug will have to tell him he won't get paid for 2 weeks.
So,
I'm very patient.
one of the things that I thought about, and again, the question is around the feasibility, right? So you guys are going to be the ones to tell us if this is feasible or not. Is there a way to get a preview, right? So I understand.
Let's try it.
Okay.
Let's give it, the next couple of meetings, and then let us get back with you with the feedback on that.
Yeah, so
Whether we can or cannot, or whether are you okay with that?
Yeah.
In my thought, like, even if it's Thursday or Friday, whatever it is, and this is like, hey, this is what we have so far, and then on the normal cadence, we get, hey, these bills came in, they're in addition to what you have. I don't know how hard that is.
That's not easy.
That's not.
That's harder. Okay.
How many, you say they come in, how many between said Friday and Tuesday?
It depends on the time of month.
Okay.
Because a lot of companies deal with, closing out their account by the end of the month and sending a bill out by the first of the month. Or the second
Right.
of the month.
I guess,
So, and in this case, since you meet on the first or the second, the third Wednesday, sometimes that is the first of the month. We try normally to hurry up and download those bills, like for Anthem and Lex and for
Dentist
the
and
hardware store and
Insurance.
that kind of stuff, and get that in the computer as fast as we can so that we can present it to you as quickly as possible. But it'll just delay the paying of those bills by 2 weeks, because we just
Yeah.
not gonna be able to, get them in that quickly. Now, so long as you don't pull the authority for me to go ahead and pay those regular bills, it may not be as big of an issue as it seems to be to me. I mean, I always feel better with you approving the bill before we pay it, right? Because once it's paid, right? It's hard to pull that back.
Mhm.
If you say, hey, didn't want to authorize that for one reason or another, then that becomes a bit of a challenge. But let's try it. If we don't try it, we'll never know.
I
Well,
appreciate that.
I understand the credit cards, you're not in control of that. And, but I was just thinking that with a new council, you could say to many of your vendors that, hey, I need the invoice by this date. I only cut checks on these dates. And maybe to allow you to get us what we're asking for on Fridays or Thursdays, to be easier for you. I mean, because we really think that it would be, well, I'm speaking for all of us, that it might be easier for you if they're not rolling in all the time, if they know that there's a cutoff.
Yeah, but when you buy something from a vendor like Blue Book, that you buy the chemicals for the wastewater treatment plant, they're gonna generate that invoice when you place that order.
Okay.
They are not gonna wait to send that to you until a particular Thursday of the month. That wouldn't be a fair request of that vendor. So, but we can just cut it off on the Friday and see how it goes. I mean, and so long as I can still have the authority to pay for the utilities and the credit cards and those people
Anything with
that
the
would
late fee.
otherwise incur a fee if
Right.
they get paid late,
Yes.
then, you know, you'll approve it after the fact and that'll be that.
So out of curiosity, because I'm just learning a whole lot, do you gentlemen have any relationship with vendors that you would see this being an issue with?
Reaching out to the vendors.
Just in general, do you see any vendors that if we made a slight adjustment by 3 or 4 days in approval, but that could mean pushing back, I know, 2 weeks, do you
Sometimes
anticipate?
3 weeks.
Sometimes 3 weeks. Do you anticipate any vendors that you regularly work with that would be a big concern with?
I think I work with big enough vendors that mine are kind of the same way. I order something and instantly it's shipped out. You know, I'm small potatoes to them, so they don't care. If I'm late, then it's on us to pay for it. Most of the time, I usually bring the bill over and Yvonne takes care of it. I don't, I mean, and most of my stuff's a 30-day, most of it.
Yeah.
But there could be some stuff, I don't know. I'm really just kind of guy who words the stuff and says, thanks, and I appreciate it. So, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think we can dictate to the vendors when their bills should come in, but we can say, hey, this is our cutoff, this is when we pay. If that becomes an issue for them, most of them understand that when they work with a municipality, that everything is slow in a municipality, nothing happens fast. So they wait for their money,
And
they
if-
get paid. The good thing is they generally know that they're going to get paid, that there's not an issue, you know.
And if there's a pressing issue, I agree with Bill that we can always make exceptions to the rule. But I think establishing just kind of a little bit more space and time for us, I'd appreciate. I don't know if it requires any special action, but I think just trying it, like a consensus of try the practice.
You don't know. I don't like the idea for our system that we have in place right now, but that doesn't mean that I can't change that and find out that it works, you know, let's try it.
I would also ask that in the process, let us know what, like,
Yeah.
hey, this took an extra however much
Right.
time or whatever, so that we understand the implications of our ask.
Yes.
The intent in my question was, how do I ensure that I'm as prepared to make the right decisions for the town as possible and not under the gun, right? And be able to ask the clarifying questions and give everybody here the appropriate amount of time to provide that research or that reasoning.
Also, if you have questions at the last minute, I mean, I have a cell phone, call me, you
Yep.
know.
Oh, we will.
If there's something that comes up, huh?
Oh, we will.
Okay, I mean, if there's a last minute something that you need clarification on and I can provide it, or Jim can provide it, or Jenny can, you know, I mean, we're all in this team together, so it's a matter of getting you the answers, you know, and initially, I can see that you have a huge learning curve, but eventually that'll ease up. You know, same with the questions you sent me today about some of the APVs that you're approving. You know, in there, try to put as much information as possible so that we can build your knowledge so that by, you know, next month, you already know this stuff. There isn't another question. And just like, you know, for me stepping into this job, I had to learn it all from scratch. You will too. And we'll guide you through it the best that we can on the portions that we can answer. So, you know, we'll get there. I will make this change.
Madam President, if I may weigh in briefly, I would suggest that the council take a look at the ordinance, section 29.513. It's the ordinance which allows the clerk treasurer to make payments in advance of a formal allowance.
So what was that number again? I'm sorry.
It's 29.513. So it allows the clerk treasurer to make payments in advance of your approval, and then the council has to review those at the next meeting or the earliest convenience. And so, again, as you go through this, you'll learn more, but Yvonne, you can jump in here on the process, but department heads have to certify the invoices before they give it to the clerk treasurer. The clerk treasurer goes through a process of making sure that everything was in order, and then it comes to you guys just as a check and balance on the clerk treasurer. And so your role is certainly to be that oversight, but realize that if you want Yvonne to rely on this ordinance, which allows her to make prepayments, that necessarily shifts the balance a little bit, that you're not going to see it till after the fact. And of course, you still do your due diligence to make sure that nothing was paid in error, and they've already gone through a process to make sure it's there when it gets to you. But you have to be comfortable with the fact that it should be paying in advance. And Yvonne's very conservative and wants to be a good steward of the dollars, always wants you guys to approve first. So as you set expectations, just think about that balance. Most of your comments seem to have been focused on the APVs. I will say, just in general, town or city business, it's not uncommon for agenda items, resolutions, or ordinances to be due 10 days in advance before a meeting. I have a lot of clients that will actually have an agenda meeting. So as the president of the council, you are also the executive of the town. So we've had other clients will sit down with the council president, director or mayor, whoever that may be, and department heads, and kind of just work through the agenda a week in advance to make sure that everything's set up. It'll ease the process to make sure that things don't come prematurely, or it's not taking anybody by surprise. Sometimes I'm sure you've seen in the past where things will come and nobody kind of knew it was coming. So that's something to think about, of having that agenda setting meeting so you know it's coming down the pipeline. It's also, and I'm not suggesting that New Pal needs to do this, but it's also not unheard of to require 3 readings on ordinances. So a lot of units slow it down a lot. We're small and we move a little quicker, so I don't think you need 3 readings, but thinking about having a deadline for when ordinances and resolutions come in, it's not unheard of at all, and it's something that would take a little bit of time to grow into, but I think you'd see a lot of benefit from that. Also, as you're setting, the president sets the agenda. Of course, you all vote on that. So there, as you mentioned, the public comment. This is a new council. You guys decide how formal you want to be in your motions. State statute doesn't require that you have formality of motions. It's that everybody votes. If there's a public hearing required, you can be more or less formal as you see fit. And so just encourage you guys to kind of think about that, grow into that. A lot of different units represented throughout the state. They'll include invocations. I know we have a pastor now. You think about whether or not you want that on your agenda. So this is your council now. And, feel free to kind of change the way it was before. And if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you want to recognize a comment?
Do I recognize this?
That's up to you.
I would just like to give you something to think about as you decide to do this or don't do this. As far as payment. My name is Jason Combs. I'm the Sugar Creek Township Trustee. I've been in control for over a year now. In my office, we deal between 75 to 100 vendors. I don't know how many she's dealing with, but the local post office, or not the local post office, the U.S. Post Office in general, sometimes they slow things down, and we experienced COVID in 2020. Sometimes it's very easy and very quickly to rack up late fees on some of these vendors. And it's extremely hard to sit on the phone for 20 minutes, 50 hours to try to get them to reverse $20 or $50 or even $19.99. So just keep that in mind, because I know she's paying a lot of things like email. And I have already experienced where I was continually getting late fees, and I had to call on one particular vendor, and I thought, why is this going on? I went to the local post office, and she said, they're slowing things down intentionally, so more people are shifting to private payments. So
Wow.
keep that in mind.
And Jason, is that a vendor maybe you could pay electronically?
I don't know what some
I'm-
vendors,
Yeah, okay.
just word with them.
Thank you so much for your comment. We certainly don't want to incur any late fees.
And some things that we know are super important and larger sums of money, we're now set up to pay via ACH, which we're kind of just scratching the surface of that, but we might, use that more in the future, and/or.
And Yvonne and Jenny, I want to make sure that you know that the reason I brought that up in no way, shape, or form is being critical.
Oh, no, I
It's
understand.
just to help people have time.
I understand.
Right.
The trick, though, is that the timing of bills. you know, and the timing sometimes of people coming in and say, hey, I need to get this or that, you know, ask a contract, whatever, they need to come in and do a presentation. Sometimes, again, that's one of those things you don't always get to know very far in advance. So, let's just see how it goes. And as long as you're comfortable sending
I
that
do it
out.
on Tuesdays, so I do it on Fridays. We'll see.
Give it a go and
We'll work
give
on
you
it.
feedback on how it goes. and-
Yeah, give us feedback
Yeah,
next
okay.
week, and as always, you know, ordinance 29.513 gives you the ability to take care of it.
I will send you
if
that
it's
info.
pressing or is going to incur a fee, and I think that's part of, you know, your position that you've been elected to.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
And as time goes on, there are ordinances that you guys want to see that you come up at a meeting or that you hear about or read about, or you come in here and you talk about something. Let me know, we can send you all that information.
Okay.
Don't necessarily want to overload you, but there's a lot of information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny?
I'm the ordinance lady, so.
Oh,
yes.
oh. Did you have your hand up?
You're a volunteering person.
Yes.
It's really not a problem for me, thank you.
Jenny will do it.
Okay. Did you get your answer?
Do I dare say one more thing? Okay, I will, just one
The
more.
floor.
If it would be possible, and I don't know if it could be done electronically or if it would have to be a hard copy, but I think that each one of the council members should have a copy of the comprehensive plan.
That's like 200 or 300 pages.
Is it that
I
big?
don't know, right, Jim?
We can
It's
either get
huge.
a copy, or we can get you
I think there
However
are
you want.
copies around here.
yeah, it's online as well.
Is it?
Yeah,
Or it was.
Oh,
So it's
then-
on
then-
the
then-
website?
it's on our website.
Is it?
It's under the resources tab.
It's under the resource.
Okay.
Said revised on 2017,
Yeah.
or something like that, original on 2015.
Yeah.
And it's about 80 pages,
Okay.
something like that.
Then you obviously don't
I'll
need
go
to
look.
send it. I just
I'll
learned
work on
something
it.
that's where it's, I have a hard copy, but I wanted,
Like Bill?
you know, I cannot think, I'm done being a troublemaker. I, thank you very much.
As long as you don't request that we read all that by next meeting. All right. I think we'll go on, move on to department reports.
Can I ask before we do that, just one thing? I'm out of curiosity. Should topics, I have two things actually. Should topics come up in which we know that we're going to have some conversations around the sewer and the wastewater? What is the process? And Doug, maybe you can help. We talked about public hearings, but is there something less than that where we can have a kind of a gathering or an informal gathering where we can just have general conversations around what the town feels about certain things, about the upcoming sewage rates and wastewater issues that we're going to be facing based on decisions that have been made? I mean, what does that? Do we create space in a meeting? Do we have a separate space in which we can have more informal conversation? Is that, how does that work?
So yes, you can do all the things you mentioned. However, you have to be cognizant of the open door law. So if there's three of you at a gathering and you're taking in information on official city business, that would require public notice of a meeting. You can have town halls individually or in pairs. You can talk to department heads about issues that are coming up and have those conversations. Talk to me about anything that you have questions on. So you can do it in a manner of different ways. You can create committees. If something big comes up and you want to have a committee look at it, and that can be mixed between council members and staff and members of the public to meet. That would likely need to be noticed as a public hearing, so we can work through those things as they pop up.
Okay. I'm just trying to think through the most transparent way to communicate the things that we know we have, to have conversations around and discussions around that may not require one of the regular meetings we have, but maybe it does require that we call a meeting and just for the purpose of receiving feedback and conversation.
Yeah, and I think being more kind of planning through your meetings with a longer vision, so that when you know those things are going to come up, you can put them on the agenda. You don't have to have a separate meeting, but have a spot where we're going to talk about this, and it may not be an issue for a month or so, but we're going to start talking about it and talk about it in your regular meeting. And that's something I think
Right.
there's certainly always can be improvement, even if you're great at it. We can get better at kind of thinking forward and having those conversations. So I think that's a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
Ethan. Any other discussions?
The other curiosity I have is just the information for committees that we have here in the town and what we need to make decisions on in terms of appointments. And-
I have that as something to kind of go over with you here during our report, yeah. So give it.
Then I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, let's move on to department reports. Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. I'll jump right in, try to jump in right before Bill Niemeyer, regarding our comprehensive study. So what I would like to introduce is, I'd like the council to give me permission to seek an RFP for a new comprehensive plan. This plan right here is 2016, and like it was said, it's on our website. So I'm trying to put a letter together. I'll get with Doug, and probably within, I'd say, the first week of February, present the letter to you guys for approval to send out for an RFP to start a comprehensive study. That tool is going to be really, for the next 4 years, essential. I want to get the public involved, the county highway department involved with this, schools, fire department. It was a good process. I was here in 2016. It was a learning curve for me, but I think you guys find it very challenging as well. So what I'm asking is to get a letter out for an RFP for a new comprehensive plan.
I'll make a motion
Years past.
that we authorize Jim to prepare a letter requesting for proposals to update and prepare a new comprehensive plan.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion is moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? I'm trying.
So that would be, basically, it's just you sending out a letter saying, hey, we're going to do a request for proposal.
Yeah.
And move from there, and then we would talk through that.
There's a little bit, yeah, it is basically a letter we're going to send out. I think I want to highlight this time with the highway department, because anytime we have a growth challenge, one of the things that the public comes back is, and we'll see it on Facebook and stuff, it's traffic, roads can't handle it, this, that, and the other. So I think we need to be more informed of what the county's doing. I'm probably get with Caleb Brooks as well, because they have a new comprehensive plan. And we want to see what's on our outside limits that we can work together with some of our growth as well.
And Chad, what I would envision is, depending on how many people respond, we could even get to the point where we identify several, ask them to come in and make presentations to explain what they see the process being. And that would help us select whoever, because it's not something that we are going to be able to do without a consultant, somebody that this is what they do.
So the letter you're sending out is a letter to companies to consult and help us do the thing.
What we'd entertain is the consultants, they would actually say, I want this project. So they would come in and, like Bill said, they would introduce herself and kind of give you guys
Well, who wouldn't want to work with us?
Well, it's not who wouldn't want to work with us, it's when somebody is at this price and the next person is at that price,
Yeah.
I would love to ask them what the
Absolutely.
difference is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get what you pay for, and sometimes a consultant is hoping you don't know that you're getting overcharged.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to have multiple people vying for the job,
Yeah.
because otherwise, we don't know what we don't know.
I think essentially when Jim sends out an RFP, the consulting firms will come back with like a letter of interest showing their interest and kind of selling themselves to the town, and they put together these nice little pamphlets that
Real nice.
says why they should be the consulting firm that we pick,
And as long as it includes their pricing, then that helps us make
Can you present that to
a
us?
decision.
Yeah, then it'll go back to you for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jim?
That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need to act on that
We
motion?
need to
Oh.
vote on
It was moved and seconded, there's not been a vote.
Oh, okay. Do I have a motion?
it. No,
No.
it's been moved and seconded.
Oh,
You
it's
can
been
call
moved.
for a vote.
All
Once you've
those in
done it
favor?
100 times, you'll be great.
Once in favor, the ones in favor say aye. Any nays? No? Okay.
But because you said the nay word,
Oh, what?
I love, if somebody is opposed, please say either no or nay. Previously, there was a request, if you were opposed, say yay. It confuses me, I'm just too simple for that.
Well,
So I love yeses and nos, yays and nays.
well, that's what the Robert's rules
I know,
had in there, so,
but thank you.
yeah, thank you. No problem. So, it's, now you confused me.
The motion
Is
passed.
there, huh?
The motion passed.
Motion passed, okay. So there's no discussion, we've done that. The ayes have it by 5, the motion is carried for Jim to get that RFP so he can present to us. Okay. Steve?
Yeah, essentially all I have is to let you know that the community crossings matching grant all opened January 2nd. All the call is saying is they're inviting applications from towns around the state to submit their applications for road rehab projects. I think most of you have been here when I've talked about this before, what we're planning to do this year. I'd like to get on these pretty quick because there's a fairly limited window. It's like January. It opened up the 2nd, I think it was January 30th or whatever, and there's however many towns and municipalities in the state that apply. So if there's a mistake and you get it early, NDOT has time to kick it back to you. You can correct the mistake and still get awarded. So the only thing, there are several different items you need for it. Maybe one of those items would be a financial commitment letter from the town of New Palestine, and NDOT likes to see one signature on those, and also through DocuSign, and that is the council president, as we passed through our resolution. So I didn't know who that was until 10 minutes ago. So there, if you want to take a look at this and sign it tonight, or you can pop in sometime this week and sign it, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's all I've got.
Thank you. Mr. Bob?
We've really did this last month, and I'm always happy to discuss with council about some of our cases, but we will not be in public. So if you have questions, I'm more than happy to take you aside, unless it's something I can't present to public. So in front of you, what you've been presented tonight, is at the end of the year, our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, actually is kind enough to print off all of our calls of service for the year. So these calls of service are calls we've dispatched to, or calls that have been self-initiated by the officers themselves. So if you have a chance, you want to look through this, you have questions about it, please reach out, I can explain what they are, kind of what maybe the call, because some of the calls might seem a little confusing to you, but we're happy to explain any of that to you. If you guys ever receive anything as council, people call your house about complaints, please forward that to me. Don't take it upon yourself to try to have to fix it, but that's my job. So if you guys have something and you want to work on, just let me know. Current case, can't talk about it, but yes, we have individual disputes.
Well, we thank you for all you and your team do, so, keeping us safe. Anything else?
I know my guys are pretty excited about it, how they work there, they'd like to meet everybody. And I do think Terry, we have a 77 fund retirement meeting that we have to have every year. It's basically like our guys that are in the retirement fund for per 77. Basically, you are going to be the president, I believe, of the meeting. I think I'm the vice president of it, and then the guys, they kind of basically vote for somebody to be secretary. They discuss if there's any new things that are happening with new hires, if we have a fire, or a police officer who's injured, sick, who maybe need on leave, who maybe think about retirement, or medical. It's just a big committee that we have to get on. It's usually once a year for about 5 minutes. Unless something was to come off, if we were to hire new personnel, then we would discuss who would possibly be hired. You would see the application, see what's going on, and we'd all as a group make a decision if this was the proper hire for the town. So as of right now, since you're the new president of the council, you're the new president of the 77. Congratulations.
Thank you. And
I did not mean to spring that on you, but that's.
okay.
And we have not scheduled that meeting yet. We were waiting to see who was going to be brought on for the president. And we also have an offer down right now for medical, so we're going to postpone it just a little bit until he's back, good to come back to work, and then we'll have a meeting.
Like in the next couple weeks or month?
Yeah, a couple of weeks, I think. Probably next 2 to 3 weeks.
I would say, yeah, probably by a month from now.
Okay.
We'll let you know. And if there's particular days of the week that work better for you, or not work at time of the day, whatever, let me know, and then we'll get that.
Okay.
We'll get that scheduled for you.
Thank you. You want to keep talking?
Well,
You're up.
For internal controls being that we're dealing with money that is taxpayer money, internal controls are really important. Not one person should ever make the final decision or the decision from beginning to end on paying something or not paying something, or, did we do our due diligence or not. So for that, there's a video we're gonna need you guys to watch. I'll send you a link to it. There's a piece of paper after you watch it, please sign it, and we will keep that on the record, because when we get audited, that's questioned. We have an internal controls policy. We can send to you if you want it. You may or may not want it, but it's all put together on how we do things, just like these claims as they come in. The department heads sign off, I sign on it, and just because I want to make sure that we don't have double payments. Then these claims get processed by Susie and put into the computer. After that, you all decide to pay them or not pay them, or give the approval for that. And then I will sign the checks, and again, Susie processes that. So you know that there's a lot of people that see every claim. There's never anything that I decide for myself to go ahead and pay it and take that start to finish. Part of the process is also that I would like for one of you please to volunteer to come once a month after I reconcile the accounts. I reconcile 2 of the accounts, Nyla reconciles 3 of the accounts, and then I would like for one of you to come in and sit with me and sign off on those as well. So that means you're going to look at the reconciliation, the bank statements, you're going to look at the reports that are created by our accounting system to go with that for a month, and then you're going to sign off that you've seen it, and that, to your knowledge, at that time, everything looks in good order. And then from there, I upload that into Gateway with your signature and my signature, and then the public has access to it. So whomever.
Before I volunteer, I want to make sure I'm not getting bobbed here, I'm getting too much put on my plate. But how much time does that usually take? Once a month?
No.
Once a month, and it probably takes about half an hour. That includes our, unless you have a lot of questions. I mean, initially, you always like to ask the question for those of you who don't know. But he So it might take the first couple of times, take a little longer,
Okay.
because we may have a lot to talk about. But it can also go pretty quick once you get, once you get that done.
I would love to volunteer for that.
I appreciate that, thank you. So what I have done in the past, Clint's done that for me in previous years. I generally, once I have everything complete, I send in text, and then we'll figure out when it works for you to come in and.
That works. Thank you.
Sound good? Awesome, thank you, appreciate that. And then I defer to Jenny for the rest of the.
I have 2 housekeeping items. 4 of you, I forgot to put the nepotism policy in your package, so I need you to sign the nepotism package, or
You want to go
forms.
into a little detail what that means?
It is by the state of Indiana, it's a code that says that nobody, I don't know how to define it.
That, you do not have somebody here that works for you,
Directly for you.
in your direct supervision that is related to you. So it is something that you'll have to sign every year, in December usually. In this case, it's, you came on board for one this year.
Yeah, I
So,
changed it to today.
It's just something you need to sign, and you'll see it.
And then it gets uploaded to Gateway, and it's
So for the public to know
that you don't have any relation.
so we'll add it to your column of things to sign here.
The other thing I've done is, Ethan, we'll start, okay. I have put, there are 4 pages, 4 commissions. Planning Commission, Zoning, Redevelopment, and the EDC. It has what it basically, how it's set up, and that was all given to us by Doug. And then I put who is on it for 2023, how they got there, if I know how they got there. And then you need to, reorganize some of these. You need to make some adjustments to who's on them and restructure. So that's something you need to do, look over that list. Email me with questions regarding what's on there, but I think I've got it down to, you can kind of look at it and know who still needs to be on it, for how many years. I've kind of tried to put when their terms end. So like, for example, the last page, the EDC, that was set up, it's 4 years, and all 3 of the people on the EDC are there for 4 years, or 3.5 years. So you really don't have any work to do in that area. But like, the planning commission needs to have a few additions to it. And you can go through and see how it's all worked. So read through those, and then let me know how you want to proceed forward with.
Is that something you want us to try to do yet this evening?
I wouldn't say this evening, because that's way too much information, and I think you all need to kind of scour the community, figure out who you want on it, who doesn't want to be on it anymore. Maybe, look through and see if people are still interested in what they're doing. Also, some of the commission members have to be some of you guys. So you also need to think who wants to be on this committee and the planning commission. So it's something that I thought you needed to look at, see it on paper, and kind of go from there. It would be good discussion amongst you to figure out what you need to do.
This is excellent information, thank you.
And if you
Jenny.
don't understand everything that I wrote, please email me. I will answer any questions.
It was a big job.
It was very difficult because we didn't have
Information
this.
to
Right.
Thank you.
So, ask any questions. I'm not here on Thursdays, but all of the information that you're getting tonight that Yvonne says I will sit down will come out Friday morning to you. And then always send emails and I will answer anything I can. So, those are my 2 things I had for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have public comments, 5 minutes, any topic. Yes, sir.
Jason Combs, Creek Township trustee. I would just like to thank all of you for putting yourselves out there in public and taking control of the
Thank you for electing us, and we want to work as a team and do everything right that we can for the town. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, council comments? Brian?
I have nothing. Well, I guess I do. I want to thank you, Bob and Jenny, and Susie, and Nyla for working so hard. I know I've been in there and talked to them a little bit. They've been super helpful on filling us in on stuff and answering questions. So thank you guys for doing that.
Ethan?
I'll just offer my excitement for being able to be a part of this team, to serve this town and this community, and certainly to work with the town employees and staff. I'm excited to be a cheerleader and be with you as you do incredible things for our community. So thank you for what you do and how you do it, because it makes a difference, and I'm seeing that more than I ever have before. So thank you guys.
Thanks. Chad?
I'm also excited to serve. I think this is a unique opportunity, so I'm thankful for that opportunity. Again, I think the biggest thing for me is transparency and making sure that we can support you guys in the best way possible. I ask a lot of questions. I think that's already starting to come through, but my intent is to make sure that I understand everything so that I can make the best decision for everybody who lives in this town and the people who work for this town. So bear with me as we get through that, and hopefully we won't take as much time going forward. We'll get a little streamlined on this process, but thank you all for bearing with us through this process. Appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, Chad. Bill?
I'm very thankful for the opportunity to continue serving the town. Look forward to the next 4 years. And, as Ethan mentioned, sometimes we may take for granted how fortunate we are because, with no exceptions, none, we have a fantastic staff. Every single person puts their heart into what they do. And it also shows because we have some folks that were hired recently, so they're new, but we don't have a lot of turnover. We have people that have devoted their careers to serving the town, and we're very fortunate. And we have very talented, skilled people in the right positions, and we are very fortunate. And so I also want to say thank you to everybody, not only for what you do, but also for what you have to put up with. Because, most of the time we only see the good stuff. And we don't have, because we're not here daily, the experiences that everybody inside these four walls have when somebody who isn't reasonable and isn't nice, and they have to do the tough job because they are public servants and they deal with it in a very professional way, much better than I ever could personally. So again, thank you for everything you do, because it doesn't go unnoticed the difficulty that some situations present. So, thank you.
We appreciate that, and on behalf of everybody working here, thank you for that. And we'll pass that information on, make sure that everybody understands that, you guys appreciate that. You do have, from my perspective, and employed a lot of people over the years, you have a very good, very dedicated team of employees here. So, it's exciting to see a new chapter for all of us, so that you do have a fantastic group. Bob's crew, Jim's crew, sewer guys, you hardly ever see them. You don't like to think about what happens.
It doesn't happen.
But you have a good group of people who deal with those things, and there aren't any big issues. Toilets do still flush all the time. And that is because everybody cares for you. So we'll make sure that they get all that things that you just expressed. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. And is that all?
Yes.
Okay. I want to just ditto what everybody has said. I won't repeat it, even though, women are known to be talkers, but I'll spare you. But what I did want to bring up this evening is the outgoing council. I feel like we owe them something, the outgoing. And maybe plaques or something for their service, just to present to them and thanking them. I just kind of thought that their last meeting was a little lackluster, and I don't know if fireworks should have gone off or what, but we get you a plaque if you've been here for 50 years.
I'm just glad the fireworks weren't aimed at me.
So I don't know what your thoughts on that might be. Just a little thank you for
I
them.
think any way that we can honor those who serve this town,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm in favor of doing so. So you were thinking plaques of some type?
Yeah, something. Unless anybody else has another idea.
I like the idea.
Okay.
It's
Do
not
I have
an
a
easy
motion?
position, so why don't you make the motion?
I motion that we get plaques for the outgoing town council.
I would second that motion.
Okay. Okay, do I hear, well, a
The
second.
process, when we do these things, what is the process? Do we, wave a magic wand and they just show up? So we have to task somebody, right?
Well,
How do we do that?
then I would go to Yvonne. She'd be my first stop, and ask her what we do, how you've done it in the past.
Well, I haven't, but I know there's a great local company that creates plaques.
With our chamber.
And, yeah, and we can call them, and, it's up to you what you want on there. Maybe one if you would like to, I'll give you the phone number, one if you guys want to spearhead that, or,
Okay.
I'll give you, call Jake. Big guy.
Yep.
I move that we appoint Terry Reed as the point person for the plaque committee.
I'm sorry, Bill, there's already a motion on the table.
Oh, we can't have more than one.
Got your back, Terry.
You can amend the motion.
Well, while we're in discussion mode of the first motion, I'm thankful that, Terry, you brought that up, because afterwards, I realized that I personally thanked each member, but I omitted one person because he wasn't here. And Chris Lytle deserves to be thanked for his service to the town, because the time that he served was absolutely as trying as any UFC match that gentleman ever went through. And I want to say for the record that there isn't anybody that I wouldn't want next to me inside a cage more than Chris Lytle. So, I also want to thank him publicly, and I think it's great to recognize all of the members, but I omitted Chris when I thanked each person who was here, and that was an oversight that I regret, and I want to do so now because his service was invaluable to the town. So I want to thank him for that.
Okay, thank you. So, since the motion has been moved and seconded, and we've had a discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Yes.
It's so moved. Okay. I will personally work on this.
I would now like to, we'll make a motion.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Just to appoint Terry as the point person for the plaque committee.
I'm not gonna get a second in that. That's not.
You don't want a second?
She's already said she'll do it. I give her.
All right.
Then we don't need to vote on that, but thank you.
Okay. So, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Then adjourn.